Intersectionality by Dora Sanders. A little bit of background information about intersectionality. Um, what is intersectionality? The work attributed by Kimberly Crenshaw, who was a law professor at Columbia University, she started investigating intersecting factors of disadvantage. This was for traditional feminist ideas and anti racist policies, and it included for Black women because of most of the overlapping discrimination was unique to them in Boeing, and that was in 2012. And so Kimberly Crenshaw coined the term intersectionality. And in 2015, the term made it into the Oxford English Dictionary. The definition of intersectionality, and first I'm going to break down that word. Intersection, where two streets cross, and then you add al, intersectional, meaning existing between two sections. And so the Merriam-Webster definition termed it as the complex cumulative way in which the effects of multiple forms of discrimination, and that discrimination can be racism, sexism, or classism, combine, overlap, or intersect, especially in the experiences of marginalized individuals or groups. The components in the theory of intersectionality, I'm looking at it as tenets, and there are three that I'm going to focus on. And first is the social identities are multiple and intersecting. The second is that groups who are historically oppressed and marginalized are the nucleus of or the center of where the identities are intersecting. And third is that the identities at the micro level, which could be race or gender, intersect. Again, we're talking about intersectionality with the macro level, which is poverty, racism, and sexism. And there could be other various micro level also. The research, it shows like intersectionality can be used as a strategy to increase knowledge. So although it is a theory, it could also be used as a tool to increase the knowledge of those who are not in those oppressed or marginalized groups, who want to build policies around that, to implement any types of programs, and also to build up like communities or areas. And so they can use that, the theory of intersectionality, to be a strategy. The knowledge gained from analyzing intersectionality should be used towards liberation. And so that means that when you start looking at how marginalized and micro and macro points cross or intersect, it's a way of analyzing to gain more knowledge to move forward to freedom and liberation. Intersectionality also unearths contradictions that points towards liberation. And so when you start analyzing and trending out those intersections where the biases, the struggles, the issues occur, it can unearth those contradictions that also will help point towards developing strategies to increase the knowledge for oppressed and marginalized individuals. This is the visual for me that spoke the most about intersectionality. So we have I think of the small circle in the middle as the individual, very tiny. But then when you start looking at those characteristics that are directly tied to the individual age, gender, general identity or expression, origin, race, ethnicity, mental, physical ability, sexual orientation, those are tied directly to the individual. And then you spread out more broad with the macro level of things, such as income, language and communication skills, organizational roles, the family, political beliefs, work expression, education, appearance, and religion. As I was looking at intersectionality, one of the critiques which actually spoke to me as I was researching is that if misused, intersectionality can promote biases and inequality. And so one must be open to a variety of interpretations when it comes to power differentials. And it should be used on a case by case, is the best course of action. So while intersectionality can bring about consciousness, understanding of marginalized individuals, it also can start putting biases in those other individuals' minds. And it can also build separation and division instead of being used to flourish communities. And so when we're looking at intersectionality, you must be very open minded and understanding interpretations based on that specific community or group of people at that moment, based on that case, instead of generalizing it. Because as individuals are having several different intersections of biases and situations, you want to look at it in a case by case scenario instead of generalizing it to everyone that you come in contact with. So you don't want to use intersectionality as promoting biases and, building on inequality. It is to be interpreted at that moment based on that case. So for me, when I started looking at intersectionality and how it can be applied today, I thought about my youth ministry, and as I'm building kingdom builders who have a voice in this earth realm at this time and in this season, um, I was thinking of the application of the intersectionality theory about the crossroads of marginalized people with several different situations that will cause them to be oppressed or marginalized, or they're in already a group, born into several of these groups. And I want to use the theory of intersectionality to expand the knowledge of the youth in my church about their community in the current pressing biases and oppressions. So, as young Christian youth, helping them to understand that yes, there are some situations and circumstances that people are born into, and then there are others that, as a society, that society has help to keep others oppressed, but also as Christians and youth, that there are ways that we can bridge that gap and become a voice for those people, and to be a builder of that community. And so I will use this to analyze and develop a program to bridge the needs of the current community of our church. And also, I want to use the theory of intersectionality to give a voice of the youth to advocate for those oppressed while building God's kingdom. So while we know that there are different races and nationalities and religions in all communities, but if I can help the youth to understand how to advocate for people, because as one of God's children, we are all God's people under one race, which is the people of God. And so helping them to be bold, to advocate, and to build is one of those things that is important. Um, and thank you for listening. And here are the references. Thank you.